Okay, here we go. The combo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. NJ in LDN, my man MIB in BUF NY, the Maple Leafs, a 4-2 loser in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoff series. Their opener against the Florida Panthers at Scotiabank Arena. Here's the thing about the Panthers. They're running on adrenaline, coming off 3 straight wins to take down the mighty Bruins. Into Toronto they come, up 2-0 in this game. The Leafs pull even, but can't hold on in their best period of play, the second period. The Panthers get another goal to make it 4-2. Sergei Bobrovsky back in Paul Maurice's good books, putting on quite the show. It wasn't as bad as the opener against Tampa, Mike, but there are lots of things that we don't like about this effort for many different reasons compared to that opener a couple of weeks ago. I'll let you have the floor. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Norm. Yeah, it was not a very complete performance. It had a lot of gaps in it. In the second period, as you mentioned, down 2-0 after an unfortunate deflection by Matthew Nyes on the second goal. He comes down and makes a great play to make it 2-1, and then the Leafs tie it 2-2. And at that point, even though I think Florida had the advantage in the first period, the Leafs were able to draw even, but they can't enjoy success. And I think it's simple to say that the pairing of TJ Brody and Jake McCabe, which has been fairly dependable. I know Brody had his struggles against Tampa, but that's supposedly the shutdown pairing. And the only thing they shut down tonight was a chance of a Leaf victory. They really didn't play very well. I expect them to bounce back, but it was a very spotty performance. And as we've talked about, and I think I've been ringing this bell all during the series against Tampa. You cannot play a 20-minute game and expect to win. And against Tampa, at times, I think game 3, I think game 4, and even game 6, they did not play anywhere close to being as good as Tampa did. But at the right time, they were able to take advantage and score and win close games in overtime. And tonight, it's the first of a 7-game series, and I'd expect it to go longer than maybe many people expect. Mm-hmm. But the Leafs are going to have to step up their game to beat this team.
This is the combo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. We're into May, a new month. There's always a deal to be had. Get at me at my Instagram page, at Norm at Oak Ridge Ford. I am certainly here to help you. OGs right now I'm working with on deals, pre-owned, new. This is what I do. I help to provide you some Leafs content with my good friend Mike Augello in Buffalo, New York. Here in London, I've got an entire team, an entire staff that has my back, with one goal in mind. That's to get you the best deal on a vehicle. You know how to get at me. Look, the Panthers are on a roll, brother. They're on a roll. I mean, they just beat the best hockey team on the planet 3 straight, and in a like thrilling way in game 7 to win a first round series nobody thought they could. Into Toronto they come, and it's not like they steamrolled the Maple Leafs, but we know on more night than not, when the Leafs aren't winning, it's mainly because the Leafs are beating themselves. Look, 1 point from the Big Four tonight, an assist from Austin Matthews. I'm not going to get on 88 because I don't want his fanboys and fangirls to, threaten to turn me in. But he looked stupid. I didn't understand what was going on with him. He was right beside the goal tonight and started coming back the other way when he could have just turned around and made a play.
Yeah, I thought it was fairly.
John Tavares couldn't win a face-off, and he just couldn't. He didn't seem to be the John Tavares of the guy who scored the game winner and scored a hat trick earlier versus Tampa. Marner was gripping it a bit too tight. Again, it's a first game against the team that they're going to have to reconfigure a strategy for. So it was just kind of rife with a lot of ingredients that didn't work out on the Leafs' behalf. And it's the Panthers with a 4th straight win in the playoffs. Before I let you go, Mike, the Leafs outshoot the Panthers 36-28. basically even on the face-off draw, 51-49 in favor of the Leafs. So Toronto's going to have to start scoring with the power play. 0 for 4 tonight, and I know one was really, really late when the momentum was pretty much where it was and the Panthers were going to win. The Panthers, 10 penalty minutes. So Toronto had an opportunity there to do things. Again, some of it late. Now, as you mentioned, the Panthers out hitting the Leafs 47-36. The Leafs were out hitting Tampa for most of that series because they felt like they had to be the aggressor. At least they stood up to the bullies. The Leafs with 13 blocks to 8 for the Panthers. And the Leafs gave away the puck 12 times, Florida 10 times. So again, the thing that's a little concerning here is it's not like the Leafs shit the bed and were terrible and it's like this huge emotional letdown, and then in game 2 there will be a response. They played as hard as they possibly could against the team that's on a bit of a roll. If this continues,
Yep.
I don't know how the hell you match it.
But simply, the core group for Florida bested the core group for Toronto.
Yeah.
And, just look at the stats. Barkov, who was ill at the beginning of the Boston series and really didn't play up to Barkov standards, 2 assists.
Yeah.
Sam Bennett, a goal and an assist. Carter Verhaeghe, former Leaf, thank you, Lou, a goal. Yeah. Matthew Tkachuk, 9 hits and 3 assists.
That's Matt Tkachuk's game, and he played it.
Right, and Brandon Montour at the goal, and Bobrovsky with 34 saves. Bobrovsky was insane. He was as good or better than Vasilevsky played in the Tampa series. If he goaltends like that, then the Leafs are really going to have to batten down the hatches and play a tight game. I don't think he can maintain this, but stranger things have happened. Where this game turned early in the game is the Leafs power play. They got opportunities and they didn't cash in. And when you get opportunities and you don't cash in a playoff scenario and the other team comes down and scores a goal, that's a dagger. And that's what happened here. They had 2 good power play opportunities early in the first period, couldn't cash in, couldn't beat Bobrovsky, and then Nick Cousins scores, and then you know where it's going.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Your best period, you score 2, and so does the opposition. Spike 11. It's a long series. I have a feeling the Leafs will win both in Florida, and this will probably go 7. Pie in the sky, Spike, why not? I mean, you're a fan. That's what you believe. Look, it's not like the Leafs played terribly, but Florida came at them pretty damn good. What's this thing? What are they going to do for game 2? Just wait for Florida to finally kind of hit a wall after this run? The Leafs are going to have to take it to them. And when they get the man advantage, man, they're going to have to put the biscuit in the basket. Danny Griddick, it'll be okay. Everything will be just fine. Nothing to see here. How about Matty Nyes, though? Mike, you just addressed Matthew Nyes. You take the good with the bad, and what the hell are you expecting from a guy who's only played 10 NHL games? He owns the middle of the ice in terms of his size, the way he's in front of the net. He does a lot of great things, man. But I'd hate to see this guy make a detrimental mistake that's not only going to cost them the game, but potentially the series. And when you're in the mix like that, it's risk reward, brother.
I'll address Nyes in a second, but this is the overriding thing right now. The Leafs are 1-3 at home in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right.
They lost 2 to Tampa, in convincing ways, and they won game 2 going away, and now they've lost the opener in this series. You can't have that happen for you to advance in the playoffs. Home ice advantage, they say, it doesn't really mean that much, and maybe it means something in a game 7. But you can't continually just give away games to a team at home. And I heard some criticism. I saw some criticism online about, the Scotiabank Arena being like a mausoleum.
Well, it's not their issue, Mike. It's the players just have to play. They played during COVID with nobody in the stands. It's not
right. But the point is, if you give them something to cheer, they will cheer. The reason that they're so quiet is because at 2-2 the building was loud. There was "Go Leafs Go" and everything like that. And I really don't care. But people are criticizing the Toronto fans and the building for being as quiet as a church. Give them something to cheer for, and they will.
Right, and the thing with Leaf fans, and this isn't a criticism of this year or last year, the year before. This is the way it's always been. They are more reactive than proactive. That's just the way they are. It doesn't mean they don't know what the hell what they're watching, right? The thing with Leafs fans is they know what they're watching. They're just so bloody intense about it. They're expecting the other shoe to drop. It's unlike the Blue Jays fans. They're all into it, but half of them don't know what the fuck is happening, right? God bless both. This is just the way they go. And Yankees fans are kind of like that too, Mike. Like, they won't if the team is garbage or they're not playing well, they'll just shut down and be quiet about it.
Oh, they boo. They
Yeah,
boo.
right. And Leafs fans do boo too.
And
Luke Shen knows a thing or two about Maple Leafs fans booing him before he left Toronto in that trade for James Van Riemsdyk. He was booed quite often. 6 hits, 3 blocks, a giveaway tonight, 1 shot on goal. I'm seeing in the chat that TJ Brody's taking it a bit. Nylander's getting ripped on quite a bit. Matt Tkachuk, who had a great night, got rocked a couple times because that's great. Remember, was it Sammy Kapanen got nailed just before Jeremy Roenick ended the Leafs?
And had that game happened in the post-concussion era, the play would have been whistled down. By the way, this guy Kawhi Leonard in the chat, Mike is always a downer. Excuse me. Do you expect sunshines and rainbows after they've played and lost 4-2? If you want to listen to that stuff, go listen to some other show. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
we're talking reality here, and okay, do I think the Leafs can win this series? Sure. Did I predict Florida to win it? Yes, I did.
Right.
And I'll defend that. If the Leafs play up to expectations, they can win this series. But tonight, in the opener of the series, they did not show up at times. And honestly, against a team like Florida, Toronto is going to have to work, and they're going to have to fight through a lot of physicality that Florida will throw against them. I mean, Sam Bennett is a pain in the ass. So is Reinhardt.
Right.
Carter Verhaeghe. The Leafs gave him away 7 years ago. Thank you, Lou Lamoriello. I'm just saying, there is no reason to be happy and optimistic after this game. But do I think they can come back and win the series? Sure.
Mike, 20 years ago, I would listen to Bob McCown, and I didn't understand why he was such a downer about the Maple Leafs. He had spent 20 years plus beyond that watching the Leafs fail year after year. Now here we are. I'm mid-40s, you're mid-80s, and we're so old, and we haven't. Well, you've seen many cups, but it was in black and white. It's just when you're a bit younger, you kind of look up to these guys and you believe in them. When you're older, you're looking down on guys who you're hoping will finally end the streak of futility. Trust me. OG's converts, if you're in your 20s, and I'm not acting like what do they call it again? The boomer or whatever.
Oh.
If you're younger and you're just ramping up on fandom, that's a great thing, and I hope the Leafs do something within a good time frame for you. But if you make it to your mid-40s and the Leafs haven't done anything, you will sound exactly like Mike and I. You're always so negative. Kawhi, I mean, you're one of the worst sports stars of all time.
I remember when Turk Broda won a Stanley Cup in 1951.
No, I know, Mike. The thing is, I didn't put my face paint on tonight. I'm so sorry. I'm dealing with other things going on. And for you, if you want to show them the John Brophy tattoo you got on your chest, you can.
Yeah, go listen to Dart Guy if you want that kind of stuff.
Right. And that's the thing, that's the thing. I wanted to throw something at you guys that you guys threw at me on the youtube.com/community portion of the Leafs Convo channel. So I just said, give me your early and way too overconfident Panthers pick. Sorry, I didn't put up a graphic here.
Sure.
Basically, all of the 23 comments I got, Mike, were Leafs in 6, Leafs in 6, Leafs in 6, Leafs in 5. Like nothing that says, hey, we're dealing with a team that's on a damn ass run right now. We got to watch the hell out. So this is good. This is a reminder, man, that if you get ahead of yourself, you're gonna get fucked. Like remember 02, the Leafs get through the grueling first 2 rounds and take on Carolina in the conference final. I mean, Carolina, really? Leafs lost in 6. So we really super got to be careful about getting ahead of ourselves. And, I hope Sheldon Keefe is reminding these cats that, man, there's a lot of work to do. A lot of teams that are going to come at them with different looks, man. And before you know it, the Leafs could be down in the series 2-0, and which would lessen their odds of success in the series. Don't think for a second that the Leafs are just going to turn it on and go friggin' crazy. They have not demonstrated that in the playoffs thus far. They really hadn't demonstrated that during this regular season, despite the 111 points, despite the relatively overwhelming success compared to their contemporaries. The Leafs really just haven't taken the world by storm or played with their hair on fire for a prolonged period of time. It's gone from the regular season to the playoffs. They've gotten things done.
Well,
But they haven't impressed to the point where we're like, damn, this team is world and untouchable.
I saw some comments. I saw some comments in the chat about going back to 11-7, 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. I'll tell you this. I mean, I thought that 11-7 in Game 6 did not work because the extra defenseman was Erik Gustafsson, who makes Justin Hall look like Rod Langway. Erik Gustafsson is a terrible defensive defenseman. And unless you're going to use him as a point guy on the first power play, there's no reason for him to be in the lineup. Timothy Liljegren played really well tonight. 17 minutes and 3 seconds. He was a +1. He made a couple of nice passes. He didn't really, there was one giveaway, but nothing really bad. I mean, no way do you take him out of the lineup. I mean, and I don't think they're going to take out McCabe for Justin Hall. So maybe there's a tinker in terms of maybe Lafferty coming in. But it's very possible Keefe goes back with the same lineup in Game 2.
Right. OG's Converse, thanks for being here. We have 70 people in the chat. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Last I checked, we're like 2 or 3 away from 3,600 subs. Hey, it's a modest milestone, but we'll take it. Now is the time for all of us to come together on basically a daily basis. During the season, it's once a week, potentially twice a week if something big is going on. But man, we've been waiting for so long to congregate like this consistently, night in and night out. We tried last year. We didn't get past the first round. Now we're past the first round. And we've got to take this loss tonight with a grain of salt. There's no reason to get down about it, but every loss puts you closer to elimination and the end of a run. And then the self-reconciliation, right? The self-effacing, self-examination that will come for everyone, even if you go all the way. We don't want to get to that point too soon. We want to prolong the Leafs' life this spring as deep as we can possibly go. So down 1-0 in this series against Florida. Look, the Panthers, absolutely no joke, coming out pretty hardcore, responding the way they have to on a high from the Boston series. But it takes one big-time effort from the Maple Leafs to kind of
be a ripple in the pond.
Put the pin in, this inflated sense of self that the Panthers are demonstrating right now. And you know what? You have to have a bit of an inflated ego and over believe in yourself to do well in the playoffs. Sure, humility is a thing and context is a thing, but man, they're on a run right now. The only team that can shut these fuckers down is the Maple Leafs. And they, you know what? In Game 2 at home, they had better do it. Get off the schneid at Scotiabank Arena because it's high time they put up a good-ass performance that kind of changes the tone of what's going on right now. If not, you're 2 games away from elimination. And let's not forget, guys, the high of beating Tampa. Great. There's, any team worth its weight that has a real understanding of the task and has a real purpose of what it wants to do, realizes that despite beating a team that you haven't been able to beat, accomplishing something that you haven't accomplished for 20 years is only part of it. And tonight, the Leafs, for as decent as they play tonight, the Leafs look like a team that, pretty satisfied with what it's accomplished so far. And that's
Well,
got
I mean,
to change real quick.
that's the thing that I think that both teams sort of had to guard against, in the sense that nobody expected Florida to beat Boston, and I mean I think there was a sizable portion of Leafs Nation that didn't think they would get by Tampa, that they would find a way to give it away, and now they've won and they've gotten past the first round, and Florida has pulled the upset. You could see psychologically these teams sort of sitting back and saying, hey, we did what we needed to do, but the door is open. The door in the Eastern Conference, especially with Boston losing and with the New York Rangers losing.
Right.
I mean, the Devils are a very young team with a lot of, I mean, they played really well against the Rangers and beat them, but they're not world beaters, and they have a young goaltender. Carolina is without two or three of their bigger offensive players. And they keep going back between Antti Ranta and Freddie Anderson. So, I mean, the door is open, but you have to walk through it. And that's the problem with the Leafs right now is, I mean, they should beat Florida because they are a better team than Florida. But
Right.
you've got guys like Matthew Tkachuk, who Norm, for going back in the day, being a line mate of Mitch Marner in London with Christian Dvorak for that Memorial Cup winning team.
Right.
This guy is a force of nature. And tonight, like I said, 9 hits and 3 assists. You have to have an answer for him. And one of the things the Leafs did tonight is I think they went out of their way to be physical. Shen and McCabe and Riley with a hit and a few other players. And I think they took themselves out of position at times. The Verhaeghe goal was purely a player being out of position and him scoring. So these are things that have to be corrected in game 2.
Yeah. Well, just Mike, can you please remember one thing? Complaining about your team doesn't make them win. So can you self-examine when you're done this podcast and tell yourself every single day that complaining about the things that aren't good in your life isn't going to make things better for you.
Right, but the difference is we're not in control of what happens. All we can do is offer our insight in terms of what's going. And Kawhi, go to hell, okay? Please. I mean, just go away, crawl into your little hole somewhere. And, I mean, I really, I mean, please.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't have any control of the situation. All we can do is analyze the situation as people who have watched this team or covered this team for years. And I look at the Leafs right now, and I see a team that conceivably could win this series. Not easily. It's going to be tough, but they conceivably could win the series. But they have to. This is where they have to play a more up-tempo game. I mean, this is a Florida team, not the whole team, but this is the team that won the President's Trophy last year. And, now they made some changes, and Matthew Tkachuk is probably going to get votes for the Hart Trophy. But they have to fight through Tkachuk and Bennett and Reinhart, beat them at their own game. And tonight, the Leafs couldn't do that.
Look, if the Leafs can beat Tampa, you'd think they can beat the Panthers. The difference between Tampa and the Panthers have generated a bunch of momentum. Tampa was playing with house money and with a reputation from seasons past, right? So the Leafs it was high time the Leafs were able to finally get past the Bolts. In the Panthers, they're facing a challenge that, sure, they know from the regular season and were able to handle, I wouldn't say easily, but professionally. It's a different challenge in and of itself and altogether. It would be really shitty to think that the Leafs got handled by a team like Florida when the OGs, converts, the Leafs fan base at large were all hoping this would be the scenario, right? I wanted to ask about Ilya Samsonov because I did see a question here. I forget, who was it? Spike 11. Will we see Murray in this series? Joseph Wall was backing him up again. Does Matt Murray make some grand entrance to throw the game on its head, especially if the Leafs fall behind 2-0?
Matt Murray, he practiced yesterday.
Right.
He took part in the morning skate today. He was the e-bug because they sent Eric Shalgren down to the Marlies so he could play for the Marlies in the Calder Cup playoffs. That's an indication that Murray is closer to, or at least is capable of stepping in. Now, I would think that it would take sort of a significant injury or an act of God right now to go away from Ilya Samsonov. But that act of God almost happened in the warm-ups. He got hit by a shot on the knee and reacted negatively and went to the Leaf bench, and he was okay. But, I mean, that had to be a scare. And I just, I don't think they're going to go away from Samsonov unless there's an injury or unless they get down 3-1. But it all depends on whether Murray is 100%. And right now, if he's if he's the e-bug rather than the backup, he clearly isn't 100%.
And Samsonov didn't do anything tonight
No.
to suggest that he's getting tired or the pressure's getting to him. He only faced 28 shots. The Leafs got 36 shots on goal. Bobrovsky just played better, and that's going to happen. The thing is, if you lose a game in the playoffs, you've only got a few more to go. Koskara, Norm, I've given up on Willie going in the corners, doesn't have that hunger to win. So sad. I don't think it's that he doesn't have the hunger to win, but you're right. He doesn't go in the corners. Like he's good with his stick, doesn't want to get physical or anything like that. I even saw Mitch Marner tonight go into a corner battle, throw a shoulder and get bounced. At least he was trying. Look,
Nylander's not that type of player.
Exactly. Metrically, Mike Nylander he is Wayne Gretzky times 5. To his group, he is Wayne Gretzky times 5. Right? But he's never going to be he's never, sorry, Mike, and I'll let you finish the point, but
yeah.
Look, he scores a big goal, great. He makes some plays, does some toe drags, does some stick work, great. But tonight he was not unlike most of the core four. He just didn't have much of an impact. And I told you, he had that play where he came in from behind the Florida net and came back out the other way when there was nobody in front of him and Bob Roth.
All he had to do was cut to the net, and
what are you doing? Yeah. Again, it was it's so systematic, so formulaic.
And he ended up drop passing it to Matthews, and Matthews wasn't expecting the drop pass. No, the thing is, he led the team in shots. He had 7 shots on goal. But he, obviously didn't score. Jim in the chat was asking, wasn't Verhaeghe one of the 5 players traded to the Islanders? Yes, he was part of the Michael Grabner deal back in 2015. That's why I keep saying thank you, Lou, because that was just and it was a roster clearing maneuver. But you don't trade a guy who's never played. He had never signed a pro contract, and they just gave him away for nothing. And it took him a long time to get to where he is now, which is a very effective winger in this league. But you just general managers who just give away players for nothing. I mean, I don't know. It's in
the past, Mike. It is what it is, man. I mean, how many people passed up on drafting Michael Jordan? It is what it is. People passed up on drafting Tom Brady. It is what it is. Like who cares? Let's just talk about now. All right, what did the Leafs do to reset and get focused on a great effort in game 2? Because the goal's gotta be go back to Florida tied at 1. Let's not go down there and get 2 games down.
Well,
this one thing, sweep Florida, the way they're playing right now, could sweep this fucking thing. Who knows?
One thing that's clear is that you're gonna similar to Vasilevsky, you're going to have to take away Bobrovsky's eyes and not allow him to see the puck, because tonight you saw his glove was unbelievable. He's very acrobatic. He had a game for the ages. That's how good he was. But I do think that the Leafs can accomplish that, because they did accomplish it against Tampa Bay, whose defense is better than Florida's. I mean, I looked at this series going in, and I thought that the weakness of the Panthers was their defense. Montour is having a great year offensively. He scored a goal tonight. He's got 5 goals, or now 6 goals in 8 games in the playoffs. But Ekblad is injured. He's not even close to being the player that he normally is. And Gustav Forsling and Josh Mahura. I mean, this is not the 77 Canadians. This is not a superstar defense. That this is something that can be exploited, and that's what the Leafs are going to have to do.
OG's Covers, like the content, subscribe to the channel. What say you? There's a lot of commentary in the chat, all kinds of opinions. Some are already sounding the alarm. Others are like, hey, you know what? It's just business as usual. It's the way she goes in the playoffs. I'm in the camp of the latter, Mike. It is what it is. Look, fans wanted Florida. I'm sure Sheldon Keefe wanted Florida. I'm sure Kyle Dubas wanted Florida. You got Florida. You're down 1-0. And we talked about this the last time we collabed for a podcast, Mike. Sometimes rebounding from a real piece of shit game is easier than something like we saw tonight, because you played okay. The other team just had the answers to your decent play. When it's all or nothing, you can trade blows and then get back into stride. It's not like the Leafs didn't play a winning type of game tonight. The team they were playing just got more goals and timely goals, and did what it had to do, coming off a pretty damn ass good run against Boston. So I'll leave the last word to you. Leave us with some positivity so that the converts and the OGs can go through their day tomorrow knowing that Mike Augello from Cheektowaga, New York, who's been covering this team for years and who has been following this team for many more, still believes the Toronto Maple Leafs can beat the mighty Florida Panthers and get through to a conference final for the first time since 2002. Michael, take it away.
I don't know whether they can beat Florida. I think they can, but I don't know if they can, because it all depends on what this team brings on the ice. And like I said, they did not play a complete game in the Tampa series. They spotted a good, effective play, and they beat a team that a lot of people think was out of gas in terms of the last 3 years. They have to play at a higher tempo and with just as much physicality as Florida, and take advantage of the things that I mentioned, which is, clogging the front of the net and taking advantage of their defense. If they do that, they can win the series. Like I said, I picked Florida in 7 games, but I just, think realistically the Leafs can beat them if they play the right way. And tonight, I think they were outside of themselves, and they did not play an effective game. It was spotty. It was good at moments, but otherwise, I think Florida, had the majority of the play positively in their camp, and that's what happened. They won. They deserved it. They had the better goaltender.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the series. It's just game 1.
Hey, listen, shit for brains, Kawhi Leonard. Mike, you don't know they can beat Florida after they beat the team that went to 3 straight finals, certified goon.
Okay,
why?
Please,
There's with this guy and Adam Bailey and other guys. Watch the guys who wear jerseys. Like, what are you doing?
Just block them, please.
No, that's fine. That's like, what a waste of time. You don't like us. We don't give a fuck about you, because
just block them. Just block them. That's all.
This is the combo after dark. You know what I'm saying? Guys like you unsub, and then we get way more subs.
Don't worry about it.
The smartest people. Mike, again, you as the purveyor of this project, guys who are just not thinking straight and who have, blue and white lenses in their contacts, sometimes just have to be, they have to be called out. Block people who cheer for the Leafs. Poor Adam Bailey's having a tough time tonight. It's one of those deals where his beloved team loses and it's everybody else's fault. God bless today's fan. OG's Converse, thanks so much for being here. We really do appreciate it. So, game 2 on May 4th. Mr. James turns 47 tomorrow, Mike. So, yeah, 47. And I have been witness to all of zero Maple Leaf Stanley Cups. So,
well,
yeah.
today is the 56th anniversary of the Leafs beating Montreal for the Stanley Cup, May 2nd, 1967, and I was a month and a day old.
Yeah.
So I have been alive for Leafs
for what? 20 years, a month and a day old, or
no, I was a month and a day old. Thank you.
With the exchange rate that your age is.
Yeah.
Even more. What are you working on at hockeybuzz.com? I mean, we're slipping into a warm bath with this show. Reading comments.
Tomorrow would just be a review of the performance in game 1, which I'm sorry to say, folks, will not be a happy review.
But Mike, it wasn't that bad. It was but that's the thing.
I didn't say it was that bad. I just said
that bad because then you would expunge it, expel it, exercise it, and then you would come back guns a blazing. Something completely opposite of what you showed in game 1. It wasn't a bad performance tonight. You just got beat by a team that's on fire, and you've got to extinguish that fire. That's the key. How do you do that? Do the Leafs have the guys who can do that? It's a whole different set of challenges than the one that they dealt with in Tampa and ultimately conquered. Last word. Gotta go.
I've said everything I need to say, Norm.
I know.
Yankees win. Yankees win.
Yeah, and the Jays pitching is coming. Coming
along. As I said.
You're the best. Okay, OG's Converse, thanks so much. Check us out on the YouTube channel. There's going to be all kinds of content within the community portion. Thanks for the birthday wishes. I'm just throwing that out there because I don't tell anybody else. And that's basically about it. Watch out for our YouTube shorts. We'll have some commentary that gets out in small bites within the channel, and we'll be back for sure for some post game after game 2. Hang in there, guys. There's potentially 6 more games to go, at worst 3. So somewhere in between, with the Leafs moving on to the conference finals, is where I'd like to be. For Mike, I'm Norm. Have a good one.